thing about learning is that nobody can take it away from you. These wise words were once spoken by that legendary blues musician B.B. King, a native Mississippian, just like myself, with a guitar every bit as famous as its owner, dear old Lucille. Basically, what Mr. King is saying here is that education and the knowledge it imparts is one of the few things in life that truly belong to an individual. People and circumstances can take away so many other things from us. Our homes, our careers, our savings, our possessions, and the list goes on and on and on. But learning, in much the same vein as spiritual life, belongs to us and us alone. It can't be stolen or hawked or sold. We receive it as a gift, or as is usually the case, we get it as a hard-earned, labored-for wage, and it's ours to keep. My grandfather, my dad's dad, dropped out of school when he was in the 8th grade. His parents had been divorced for some time, and my pop, barely a teenager, was flung into the role of being the man of the family. He had to get a job so that he could support himself and his mother. During his short time in school, my pop had not learned how to read, write, or spell very well at all, and for the rest of his life, it was a huge embarrassment to him. After his time working, he worked as a paper boy to support his mother, and after his time as a paper boy, he got accepted to a technical mechanical school in Memphis, and there he learned how to repair machinery, build cars, all of those things. Those were the crucial skills that he would use for the rest of his life. From there, he joined the service. He went to Bainbridge, Maryland, and he became a CB. He was a member of the United States Navy Construction Battalion. He used those mechanical skills that he had learned to work for the military. And according to the CB Museum and Memorial Park in Davisville, Rhode Island, the motto for the CBs is Construmus Batunius, which means we build, we fight. And it's a motto that perfectly illustrates the way my grandfather approached his life. He couldn't have been anything but a CB. After Pop left the service, he came back to Memphis and started his family. For years, he worked at the Kellogg's plant, and Dad has told me so many times how wonderful his memories are of that cereal, the way it tasted hot off the line, and his daddy coming home with pockets full of cereal box treats for him and his brother. It was a very happy time, but so many times my Pop was offered promotions at Kellogg's, and he would never take them because he didn't want anybody to know his secret that he couldn't read or write or spell well. In his mid to late 40s, my Pop developed cardiomyopathy, and his health began to decline rapidly. He was placed on a list for a heart transplant. And during that time, he decided to seize his education by the horns and remove once for all the embarrassment that had followed him for his entire life. So he started working, studying, reading, writing, practicing, learning to spell, working so hard, and he took his GED, and he got that certificate the year he died. He never received a heart transplant, and he was only 47 years old. Though his life was taken from him at such an early age, he had built and fought for his education, and even the cardiomyopathy and death couldn't take that part away from him. Now, my dad is a doctor with a PhD in systematic theology and minors in Old Testament and New Testament, and all of that is because of his dad. He pushed my dad very hard in his education because he didn't want his son to be like him. He didn't want him to go through life not being able to read or write or spell, and he wanted my daddy to excel. My Pop didn't get to see Dad complete his master's or his PhD, but because of Pop's influence on Dad's life and pushing him so hard to become the best that he could be, Dad, as both a pastor and a seminary professor, has been able to impact the lives of church members and students locally and all across the country. I wish that Pop was here now so that he could see Dad, because I know how proud he would be of him. Now, I say all of this to illustrate first and foremost that education, as B.B. King so eloquently put it, cannot be taken from us. No one could rob my Pop of his GED certificate, and no one could take his PhD away from my dad. But I also want to expand on that just a little bit and say that though education can't be stolen, time can definitely be stripped away very quickly. And the Lord called my pop home at 47 while he was turning a calendar page. Very literally, he was turning a calendar page. He was sitting in a chair at a friend's garage where his old Model A Ford was kept. And he looked up and he saw that the calendar on the wall hadn't been changed from October to November. And so he got up, he reached up and he took the page and he turned it, and then he fell back in his chair and passed away immediately. It was honestly the kind of poignant death that you only read about in fiction. A sick man turns the calendar page to find out he doesn't have any time left. We are not guaranteed tomorrow. Therefore, we must make the most of every opportunity to store up for ourselves treasures that cannot be stolen. In this world, that means things like education, and it's okay, things like our education and time spent with the people that we love. But most importantly, we must make sure, as Christ said in Matthew 6:20, we store up for ourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust cannot destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal. When the last calendar page turns and there is no more time, we must be certain we have done all we can for the glory of God and not wasted a single moment. At that time, the things that can never be taken away are the only things that will be important.